Welcome to another episode of the Automation Awakenings podcast. My name is Matthias Koblitz, and I'm super happy to welcome a fantastic guest with me in the virtual studio. Nick Schwarzenberg, co-founder and tech lead at fünfeinhalb. Nick, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Nick, could you describe to our listeners what you guys do at fünfeinhalb and also what your specific role means in a day-to-day business?
So fünfeinhalb Funksysteme, or well, that's German for 5.5 wireless systems, is doing real-time wireless for industrial applications. And my role is basically lots of technological design and implementations. So protocol design, the way our devices interact with each other and how they plug into the customer's application, basically. So it's designing how our products work. And of course, that would not be possible without our whole team.
Mm-hmm. You already touched a topic that we're going to discuss a lot in this episode, and I'm super happy that you found the time, because wireless, Wi-Fi, and 5G is such a big topic these days. So let us start nice and smooth. And my first question towards you, Nick, is why should logistics leaders actually care about wireless?
Well, when we look at mobile robotics, if we talk about logistics, I assume mobile robotics. Sorry, because we are in an automation podcast. And if we look at
Absolutely,
if we look at mobile robotics, material flow is usually part of your critical processes. If I don't know, if you have a production line and the material is not fed into the line can't work. If you have a warehouse and your stuff doesn't arrive at its destination, you can't do business. So my impression is that usually the wireless part, which is crucial for mobile robotics, is underestimated. And if
it's a critical success factor, so to say, right?
Yes, it is. It's usually not being paid attention to until it stops working.
Yeah, that's actually something that we experienced at some of our customers. So definitely 100% can confirm that. However, it doesn't stop with wireless only. When you go to fairs these days, for example, the Logimat, which is coming up in March this year again, there is a lot of buzz around new wireless technologies like 5G. So from your point of view as an expert, what does 5G bring to the table that we didn't have so far?
So probably to answer this question, we should start with what we currently have. So currently we have standard Wi-Fi. That's pretty much a default that everyone uses around mobile robotics, at least. And Wi-Fi is really great for everyday tasks. It's built for us humans. It's great to deliver high data rate most of the time, and it does its job really well. But if we look at machines, requirements are shifting. Machines don't really look at high data rates. They rather look at availability, and they need reliable low latency. And new technologies like 5G, it's not so new anymore, but as it's being rolled out, it's kind of new. 5G aims at improving that. 5G is, if we talk about 5G for automation, we usually mean private 5G. So it's like the 5G out there from the big public vendors, but downsized for your local factory. And 5G aims at bringing order into the chaos. Let me give you one example of what Wi-Fi does.
That would be great. Yeah. just to get the feeling, right? What are we talking here, and how very specifically would 5G improve the automation game?
So with Wi-Fi, each wireless device is allowed to transmit data whenever it has something to say. It's like getting 100 people in a circle, and everyone can just shout whenever they have something to say. Well, this scheme is okay when you maybe 2 or 3 people in the room, but with 100 people in a room, things get really messy. So you need some kind of schedule, some kind of order and scheme which makes sure that everyone only speaks when they're supposed to, and you can kind of rely on whose turn it is. And
Mm-hmm.
cellular communications like 5G do exactly that. And this helps a lot to make the system a little bit more deterministic, to have better means of saying, I can be sure that information arrives on time.
So let's say the USP of 5G would be to then orchestrate this big group of people. Let's stay in this nice picture. We have this 100 people sitting around, and it would orchestrate the order of who speaks first, of who receives the answer, just to like really bring more structure into this, as you said, very chaotic setup that we would have without a orchestrator, right?
Precisely, precisely.
That's very interesting. However, I mean, the concept sounds very interesting, but do you feel that we already have relevance for it today, or is it still mostly a hype out there?
It's probably a mix of both. I think it depends on the process. So I would like to go again to mobile robotics because this is wireless today already, and would benefit the most from better wireless, obviously. So when you're AGVs, when you just have a handful of AGVs or a handful of AMRs, doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
And distances between them are rather big, and you don't need that crazy high throughput. You can do very well with Wi-Fi, because if a message arrives a little bit later, like a drive order, you don't care too much.
Yeah.
But as soon as your process starts to get very dense, and you have a lot of AGVs and AMRs which need to be talked to, then the wireless system can become a bottleneck. And whether it becomes a bottleneck really depends on how strict are your timings. So as long as you just submit drive orders and you don't do any safety related stuff, you might be okay with occasional latency spikes or occasional delayed messages. But as soon as you either run really fast with small safety distances, or you do something safety related, like you need a safe shut off of all vehicles, which
Like instantly, right?
yeah, which is interesting and mandatory with the new machine regulations to 2027 anyway for almost every plant. Or I don't know, you have some safety integration when the vehicle approaches a machine, right? And you need to mute safety appliances.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
your communication plays a bigger role, and then 5G is relevant.
So you're talking about bigger fleets already. Is there like a number you could say? So
No,
you know, I know it's hard, but are we talking 100 plus mobile robots, or 50 plus, or just as a gut feeling? Of course, it's very dependable, or it depends a lot on what you want to do. As you said, are you just sending orders? Are you also doing safety related stuff? But as just as a first shot.
So if your communication isn't really latency sensitive, so if it's just drive orders, for instance, you might get started with problems around 100 and more. So big fleets
100
of
and more.
100 plus vehicles. So not relevant for most probably. As soon as you involve safety, you get the
Yeah.
problem with the first vehicle. Because
Got it.
for safety and actually any closed loop industrial control protocol, data needs to arrive in time, and not like on average, and not in 90% of the cases, but like always. And
Okay.
and traditional Wi-Fi is not built for this.
Understood. You just have too many actors being dependent or depending on this communication mode, which Wi-Fi has, and with the chaos that then arises, as you nicely described in the beginning, that would lead to problems, especially when it comes to latency, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, we probably have two issues when we talk about standard Wi-Fi. So the first thing is the schedule and who's taking turns to be able to transmit data. So that's one thing.
Right.
The other thing is, even if this is not an issue, because Wi-Fi speed is quick enough, you have just very little data, you don't have too many AGVs, there's another weak spot of Wi-Fi, so to say, which is roaming. So when you have a larger space that you need to cover, the range of one access point is usually not enough. Think of a large warehouse, think of multiple aisles, think of a large production site. And
Yeah, there is dozens of repeaters everywhere. That's right. Yeah, or access points. You would call them access points, right?
hopefully they are access points, not repeaters, because repeaters are like the the entry to hell from a performance point of view. Yeah, and when you have multiple access points, still when that vehicle travels across these access points, the way it works in standard Wi-Fi is that the vehicle, or that Wi-Fi client module in the vehicle, needs to figure out which access point to connect to.
Right.
It's just the way Wi-Fi works. It's not the access point guiding the client. No, it's the client which figures, oh, that the signal to my current access point is getting worse and worse. I start scanning. So looking around for another access point. Oh, this one might be good. And then they need to cut the connection to the old access point.
Correct.
Change frequencies, connect to the new access point. They need to authenticate. So they need to prove to the access point that they are allowed to talk with it, right? Need to have the right passwords, credentials, whatever you set it up. And this takes time. And the problem is that between losing the old access point and being connected to the new access point, you can't transmit any data during that time. Actually, even while the client is scanning for alternative access points, during that scanning time, you can transmit data. And this leads to the fact that whenever you have roaming, you have interruptions in communication. And these interruptions can be significant. So you can really optimize your Wi-Fi and get it down to a fraction of a second, but it can take several seconds if the network is not properly optimized. And depending on your process, this can be a big issue.
So when we talk 5G now, we don't have this roaming problem. Could you walk me through, like, how does the process look like when I move through the factory as a mobile robot? I don't have the access points anymore, right?
Well, 5G has the unfair advantage that if deployed privately in its own spectrum, you can use much more transmit power compared to Wi-Fi. And you can also focus that transmit power on less frequency range, on less bandwidth, which gives you more range. And so when your campus is that large that you have to move between 5G base stations, there can be interruptions too, or at least some delays of data. But usually a single 5G base station covers such a large area that you can do with only one base station for a whole warehouse or a whole factory hall. Depending on the geometry, of course, if you have lots of shadowing, if you have lots of, I don't know, high bays, which block signal, you might need more than one, but yeah, you can get away with one, and this eliminates the whole roaming problem.
Very interesting. That means actually that let's say the coverage of 5G as a technology is just set up completely different than Wi-Fi, which means that you have a way better coverage of your location, which means you don't have to switch between those access points. That would be my key takeaway as a beginner.
Yeah, okay. You get more coverage with the same physical thing, with the same physical unit. Yeah.
Okay. I love this explanation, Nick, because it's so understandable to everyone. Now, I mean, you guys are out there, you talk to many customers, to many organizations in the market. What is the biggest myth you keep hearing about 5G?
Probably that it solves all your problems. And maybe another myth is that it would be easy.
Like the magic stick. Like when we get 5G, everything will be solved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people claim it would be easy. It's not. I think the biggest disadvantage of 5G is its complexity.
Okay. In terms of what? Installation, setup, the running system?
Actually, all of the things.
What do we have there?
All of the
All the
three.
three?
I
Okay,
mean, physical installation compared to standard Wi-Fi can be easier because you have less physical units to deploy for the same
correct.
coverage that you need, as we outlined. Um, but then the configuration process, the onboarding of your mobile devices, um, and then also the maintenance throughout its life cycle. The problem is that 5G is I mean, it's cellular technology, and this technology has been designed for big mobile network operators to be used, like Telecom and Vodafone, and the big names. And they, of course, have highly skilled, dedicated teams, which are capable of handling this complexity and can do just fine. And now you put this crazy complex machinery into I don't know, a small company's warehouse or a small company's production line, and expect their IT department, if they even have one, to work with this. And guess what? It doesn't work well. So what usually happens is that then smaller companies remain dependent on external service providers, which I think is a big operational risk.
Yeah, and it's of course a high cost as well if you cannot maintain the system yourself because it's too complex and you need to hire those specialized companies to help you run the system.
So I mean, there are which I like that there are an increasing number of vendors trying to dump down the cellular technology to make 5G very easy to use.
If you know good names in the market that are trying exactly that,
For instance, here in Germany, I can recommend Maxware. They set out to make cellular as easy as Wi-Fi. At least that's their claim. And then I think they're French Firecell. They are trying to do the same. So I mean, we can be looking at vendors trying to simplify it. Still, I mean, if anything goes wrong, I'm not sure if every user is confident enough to have their stuff, which might not be trained network professionals, work with it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Nick, are you trying to say that if you're a small organization, you don't have a big IT department, and you don't have, or you cannot afford to build up specialist knowledge, are you saying that 5G is not the right way to go for you?
at least I'd say to be highly cautious, to think twice, and if you decide to go that route, then make sure that you have a vendor that gives you really the easiest and smallest possible deployment. I mean, don't I mean you can go to the big Scandinavian vendors and get a quote from them, and
Ericsson,
they will totally
Nokia.
and they will totally get you a 5G campus network on your premise, but don't ever expect to be to really own it.
Self-sufficient. Okay, understood. Understood. Any other reasons where you would actively advise companies not to go with 5G? I mean, a part of the maintenance and support skill and capability.
I think 5G is only worth the hassle when you have multiple use cases to use it for. So, for instance, I just want to drop another name. So Lufthansa Technik. I think they are a very good example of how you can and should use 5G. So at their facilities at Hamburg Airport, they use 5G because I mean they have like large hangars, right? They have large halls, they have planes in
Right.
there, they do maintenance in there, and I think their initial motivation to deploy private 5G was they wanted to be able to do uh, maintenance with planes of their customers without the customers being there, and they wanted, I don't know, some kind of video peer review or something like that. So they wanted to be able to stream in high quality whatever they would do about
Okay.
about the
Just to
engines
share with
and
the customer, right?
right.
just to show them as proof we're on that, we're fixing the engine or we are maintaining the engine whatsoever. Okay, understood.
Right. And since it's such a large open space, and they also need to move around, but also you also have difficult coverage conditions, like they go inside the plane, which shields a lot of the signal. Um, the increased transmit power of 5G was of great help to them. So they had like a stability of their connection with their video tablets, which they didn't achieve with standard Wi-Fi. So for them, it made a lot of sense. And once they had it, they integrated a lot of use cases. Like they have, I don't know, stock tracking in it, and of course, office access and access to plans when they're working in a plane, and they do some maintenance, and they need documents. They just request it while they are in the plane and don't have to get out of it, stuff like that.
Right.
So I think for them, it just makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of value that comes with the cost. But they are also big enough to have an in-house team which is really skilled and capable to run this.
This is exactly where we come back to the first restriction that you mentioned, right? So ideally, you go for 5G with the right capabilities, the right skill that you have in your organization, so that you are somewhat self-sufficient in running the whole system, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So when I think in terms of an industrial company, I mean, Lufthansa is doing aviation, special business. Let's say I'm a manufacturing company. What you're saying is that don't go for 5G just to connect your mobile robots to it. But if you go for it, then make sure you have a whole bunch of other use cases to be connected and to benefit from 5G. And some topics that I think right now are or could be, I don't know, machine steering, right? So you connect your production lines also to this 5G. You connect your mobile robotics to this 5G. You maybe connect your scanners to 5G. You have the regular notebooks, the mobiles, whatever, and all of those should and could be connected to 5G to make it a real business case, right?
Yeah. Well, but then if we talk about machines, we probably need to differentiate. If you just need, I don't know, like regular status data from your machine, fine. If you just need remote access to, I don't know, check or change configurations, fine. If you are actually running process data over 5G, you got to be careful again, because then it's like the safety protocols that we mentioned in the beginning. These industrial protocols, they expect really strict timings. So late data is like lost data. And while 5G, in theory, set out to, get everyone 1 millisecond latency at 9 nines reliability, reality shows that commercial implementations, as we see them today, do not achieve these figures in practice.
Understood.
And if you want to achieve low latency very reliably, like so reliable that you can run machine tasks with it, you got to take care. So 5G can do it, but it's not easy to achieve. It's certainly not plug and play. You have to make sure that the network does everything right. You have to make sure that the UE, so the mobile part, the mobile device that you have in your machine or in your robot, is capable of handling that. And so there's a lot of things to get wrong, so to say.
Understood. Nick, we are slowly coming to an end, but I have one last question that keeps wandering through my head. With all you said, with all of this complexity, with all of this expertise you need to run 5G, do you think that 5G will become a standard in factories in the future, or will it remain like a niche solution for very specific applications in industrial context?
I think it can't be a niche solution simply because of the price. So as we said, there must be bigger value. I mean, no one's gonna install 5G just to solve one little problem. That's probably not going to happen, just for financial reasons. That there's no return of invest. I neither think that it's becoming a standard, again, because of the complexity. We see what the future holds. I mean, standardization, of course, goes completely in the wrong direction. If we look at 6G, everything gets only more complex. Instead of stripping down, they just put more in it and make even crazier promises. So standardization is not going to help. What might help are vendors implementing clever subsets of 5G to simplify. If this is happening, if vendors really simplify 5G, it could be a standard. I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, we have alternatives to 5G. If you need deterministic real-time wireless, you can also use a real-time capable Wi-Fi. There's other Wi-Fis than standard Wi-Fi. There's also real-time Wi-Fi like the one we are building, and this
Exactly.
might fit.
I was about to say this. This is
Sorry.
exactly where you guys are in, right?
Yeah. So
That's very interesting. Could you briefly outline it? So how could your solution be a good alternative in comparison to 5G?
So for small to medium enterprises, and if you just have one use case that you want to run, you could use like our real-time Wi-Fi. So it's called BlitzFunk, and it consists of access points and clients. It's not standards compliant anymore. That's why it's the closed system with infrastructure and mobile devices. And what it does is it's not built for data rate, but the opposite. It's really built for connecting machines. So what it does is it guarantees that data arrives within a certain number of milliseconds, and during configuration, it already tells you what's the maximum latency and the guaranteed data rate. Okay. And control engineers love this because they can use these numbers and then actually design their process. And when they deploy it, it will just work. And we invested a lot of effort that we actually fulfill the numbers that we put there.
Mm-hmm. Let me poke into this. So coming back to the picture that you draw in the beginning, the group of 100 people starting to talk. Do you solve this as well? That's my first question. Okay, perfect. Yes. And the second question, how about the roaming?
So we basically bring the good stuff from cellular, so like 5G, we bring the good stuff from cellular to Wi-Fi. That's what we did.
To Wi-Fi,
right? Okay. So we have a schedule as well. Cool. So with us, the devices are taking turns, so no more chaos. That's why we can guarantee latency. And in fact, we are the only system on the market which is able to guarantee this as well in the roaming case. So for us, it's you can just deploy access points as many as you wish, even with overlapping coverage. And it just works because they don't fight against each other like standard Wi-Fi, but they are coordinating as well, like a proper cellular system. And they work together. And the roaming is like in cellular. It's not the client which needs to find a new access point, but for us, it's the access points, because they have the overview. They should know best. They decide which access point is serving the client and not the other way around. And that's why it works so well.
Understood. Yeah, so guys out there, if you need a better, cheaper, easier alternative to 5G, go and talk to fünfeinhalb and Nick Schwarzenberg.
Yeah, should do that. Sorry.
Yeah, Nick, once again, thank you so much for taking your time. It was incredibly interesting to talk to you about those very techie topics that me personally, I'm not too deeply involved into. But I think I got a really good overview of the pros, cons, alternatives that are out there. And I also hope that our listeners could take some good information with them from this episode.
It was really fun being with you. Thank you so much for having me, Matthias.
Yeah. See you around and talk to you soon, hopefully, on one of the fairs.
Yeah.
And for all of our listeners, see you back in 2 weeks with another episode of Automation Awakenings. Until then, take care and goodbye.
Bye.